Hey everyone, welcome to Strange Stories, where we explore near-death experiences and supernatural stories from people who've had a glimpse of the other side. If you enjoy our content, please consider liking the video and subscribing to our channel. Without further ado, let's get to the story of the day. I raised my eyes to the enormous clock on the wall beside me. 2:45. I must have fallen asleep. Days and nights appeared to mix together as my need for sleep became more and more pressing. Pain has become my sole companion. I had given all hope of ever recovering. I was finished. "Father, I can't do this anymore," I mumbled out of tiredness. The final exclamation was uttered in my heart to both God and my earthly father. I closed my eyes and fell asleep quickly. I felt like I was floating for a long time. The pain began to loosen its grip on my tired body. "Thank you, God," I said quietly as I dropped out of the bed of painlessness. I was finally free. The dark, pleasant sleep gradually let go of my consciousness, and images began to develop in my mind's eye. They were lovely, relaxing images of peaceful things. I noticed little waves gently caressing the shore and a small yellow bird perched on the limbs of a lovely blossoming pine tree. Suddenly, I found myself standing among the remains of an old house in a calm rural side. It seemed like it was mid-afternoon. The sky was a light blue color with no clouds. Although there was no sun, light appeared to come from everywhere at once. There was complete silence. "How absolutely lovely," I exclaimed. I realized I'd never seen ruins this precisely shaped before. Normally, ruins are ripped apart by time and weather, breaking and crumbling at the touch of a hand. But this place seems to have been built to look exactly like the remains of an old house, except in great condition. I understood these neatly formed ruins were a metaphor for my life. Imperfection was completely perfect in its own shape and form here. My life, as terrible as it may appear to me, was nothing short of ideal. This flawless flaw served a heavenly purpose. I built these ruins so that I may perceive myself as ruined. It occurred to me that my disease did not define me. I was not the misery and pain caused by my disease. I knew I wasn't a needy person who had grown completely reliant on others to live and operate. When I looked down, I saw that I was wearing a lovely, immaculate etheric body. I was no longer on Earth, but in an earthly setting just above the real Earth. I was still very much my own personality, in my own head, but I was shielded by a non-physical surrounding. I was accompanied to the place by 15 other people. "At least I'm not alone in feeling this way," I thought to myself. A woman was preparing a lecture at the far end of the ruins. She appeared to be arranging her files on a table in front of her. We all seemed to be here to learn how to die. What a brilliant idea. Learning how to die was just what I needed when I was completely lost in the world of living and dying. Nonetheless, there was something deeply familiar about the entire event. I had the distinct impression that I had done this 100 times before. I felt fully at ease being here. For a brief while, my heightened perception allowed me to see a big portion of the European continent at once. I saw there were gateways all across the planet. They were big transparent circles that appeared all over the place. I understood these gateways were there to allow people to move from the physical life to the spirit life and back again. I knew that when we passed through the death transition, we passed through these portals. These gateways are the doorways to a new life when we are about to be born on Earth. "Angela, close your eyes. Relax and accept it," a soothing voice said telepathically. An invisible force grabbed me and drew me towards a small breach in one of the ruin walls. I was worried that my body might be too big to fit through that tiny opening. "Close your eyes, relax, and accept what is happening," the voice said again. I obliged and I found myself on the opposite side of the wall after being transferred through that tiny space, not only on the other side of the wall, but into an entirely different universe. I saw myself soaring through the air like a beautiful bird, taking in the breathtaking beauty of the scene spreading before me. I was astounded. The scenery reminded me of photos I'd seen of Scotland or Ireland after heavy rain. The luscious, verdant fields shone at me in deep green brightness. To my left, I could see valleys and clumps of trees, as well as small, comfortable houses perched on the slopes. Everything was spotless and perfect. Every single straw of grass was flawlessly sculpted, just like an ancient master's work. Every flower petal was created to look like it was in the shape of the most emotional song. There was no ripping and no deterioration everywhere. How could something be this absolutely perfect? I wondered. I couldn't help but notice the intense contentment that pervaded my entire existence. I felt light, fabulously pleased, and completely free of earthly concerns. I was giddy with delight. My sense of adventure pervaded my entire body, and I knew this was who I was. There were no burdens and no sadness. I had no recollection of earthly difficulties or illness. I was fully relieved of any obligation to do, speak, or have an opinion about anything. I existed in the one and only time that counted. It was the eternal now, the endless flow of life. I was at ease with myself. I had no idea I had just returned from Earth. I had no idea that I was a mommy. I only existed in this world as the pure spirit that I was. I can't remember ever feeling so whole. I didn't need anyone, and no one needed me, and that was an irreversible fact. Actually, I hadn't given much attention to anything other than being who I was and enjoying what was ahead of me in joyous expectation. I landed on one of the hills in the landscapes far north. The ground beneath me was covered in yellow and white flowers. Every one of the beautiful blossoms shone like a little sun. Despite the fact that I appeared to be standing directly on top of them, I did not appear to squash any of them. I then discovered I didn't have a body. My perfect, ethereal body was vanished. I was pure awareness. I was dragged back towards the crack in the ruins. This time, however, I appeared to know exactly what to do. I closed my eyes and relaxed, accepting that I was being dragged into the crack. I returned to the ruins with the people and the speaker, only to be drawn back through the same crack. Hey, I'm getting really good at this. I grinned to myself as I landed on the same hill I'd just left. I felt ecstatic, as if I were made out of pure joy. I was soaring over the gorgeous scenery once more. Soaring mountains raged high into the bright air behind me. The verdant valley in front of me was lush and appealing. I had a complete 360-degree perspective of everything going on around me. I was completely aware of what was going on from every viewpoint. My mind wandered to my mom and father. As soon as I had that notion, I noticed my parents approaching me from a short distance to my right. My heart was filled with gratitude for the two persons who had given me life. I recall wondering to myself, hey, why are my parents here when they're still very much alive on Earth? My parents were in both places at the same time, I realized. The only thing that was required for me to meet them here in this stage of life was a loving thought. This information took me by surprise, if not astounded me. Only the present instant existed, which allowed everything to be correct at this time. As my mother approached, I said, "You're so gorgeous, Mom." She smiled at me, her eyes filled with perfect love and acceptance. As I continued to think about how lovely she appeared in front of me, she grew more and more gorgeous, as if her enhancing beauty was a direct response to my thoughts about her. My mother, who I knew to be a beautiful elderly lady with wrinkles at the age of 70 back on Earth, was suddenly standing before me, looking like a stunning 20-year-old. Her beauty was unparalleled. I'd never seen anything like it before. In the backdrop, my darling father was standing a few steps behind her. My feelings for him were genuine. Still, my love for my mother overshadowed everything. I knew that anybody or whatever I professed my love for would be pulled to me and amplified tenfold. I was completely content in this state of pure existence. I had no notion I'd given up on everything and was dying in the physical world. I was soaring across the landscape once more, utterly immersed in it. I felt fabulously pleased, genuinely serene, and completely free in this ultimate reality. I was pure consciousness, a spontaneous creative effort. I landed on the flower-covered hill again, delighted with my flight. From within, a desire to progress in my experience of this movement merged. I was wondering what was going to happen next. It was no time to think about everything. At this point, a thought occurred to me about doing something new. The experience would unfold in front of me. Again, I was unprepared for the encounter. I was confronted with a terrible image that sent shivers through my entire body. I attempted to shield my eyes to avoid staring at what had just happened in front of me, but it was futile. A few steps to my right, something that looked like a monster stood. It wasn't your typical devil, but rather one made out of cardboard. It was completely ridiculous. Whatever I was seeing was not genuine in the sense of having a separate awareness, I realized. It was a creation of my own thinking. One part of me wanted to chuckle, while another half wanted to scream in terror. I had never envisioned a cardboard monster before, but it did have a scary effect on me. "So you thought it was that simple, huh?" growled the demon as it bounded at me. My thoughts feverishly sought to recall one of the prayers I had learned in Sunday school to drive away the demon. After all, that's what priests say when they expel evil from people. "Dear Father, you who are in heaven, may your name be holy." I could see the monster approaching closer and closer through my fingers, seemingly unfazed by my half-hearted prayer. It's not working. I panicked and cried angrily, "God, please help me." Suddenly, my body jerked awake on the living room floor mattress. My mind was inundated with memories of what I had just witnessed in the hereafter. I came out sobbing uncontrollably.